Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mountainside Podcast. Our guest for this episode is Max Djenohan. He joined us virtually from his home in Seattle to record this episode. Max is an amazing human that spends a ton of time in the outdoors, whether it's mountaineering, snowboarding, backcountry adventure, taking epic photos, or starring in the hit TV series Naked and Afraid. I really enjoyed sitting down and talking to Max this afternoon, and I hope that you enjoy the listen. Max, thank you so much for joining us. I'm really looking to having you on here and talking to you a bit. Just following you on Instagram in the short time that I've known you, I love talking to people with your energy, man. You're one of those people that, in my opinion, is living life to the fullest, man. You just do it all, whether it's mountaineering, diving into survival and testing yourself that way, snowboarding, rock climbing. I mean, the list goes on, and I can keep going, fly fishing, archery, all the stuff that you do or have tried. Sure. And, be a public figure like you in the platform that you're on. I'm stoked to have you on here and just pick your brain a little bit. So thanks for joining us. You're in Seattle, right?
Yep. I'm in Seattle, Washington.
Cool.
Born and raised. Actually, I was born here, lived in Africa for a bit, and then came back here, and I've been here ever since.
Nice.
But yeah, thanks for having me. Stoked to be on here and share the wealth of knowledge that I've acquired in this short time on Earth. Where are you coming from? You're from Colorado?
Yeah, so we're just in the mountains of Colorado, just outside of Denver. We're at about 8,000 feet. Nice. So we're kind of in between those ski resorts and the city. Yeah. And it's an awesome spot, man. We have all kinds of wildlife running around here. You can get out on some crazy mountain excursions if you want, or you can cruise into the city and hang out there, in the nightlife. So
yeah, that's perfect. That's kind of like how Seattle's situated.
Yeah.
Like an hour away from really, wild and rugged terrain, but you're just really close to the city as well. So it's pretty nice.
No, I always love visiting the Northwest. It's got a special spot for me, especially those Cascade Mountains and just going up into Alberta and any of that, that whole mountain range is something special, man. It's a whole nother level of mountains than what we have here in the Rockies.
Totally.
But
it's a bit more wild, I feel. You have more wildlife.
Yes.
But it's just so much more rugged here.
No, it really
that's
is.
Kind of that's what it has inspired me to continue on the path that I'm, on right now, just because in the proximity of just Mount Rainier, we have 5 volcanoes, the Cascade Range, the Olympics, the Puget Sound, Lake Washington, you name it. It's just at your fingertips to go explore pretty much since I was a little kid till now.
That's so rad. You must, you, as much as you've done in your career in your short time, you must not be afraid to try anything. Is that one of your life mottos or something like that? Or is it?
Yeah, I think everything's a calculated risk, right? I've done a lot of things growing up. I was always kind of head first and then ask questions later.
Right.
So, by doing that for so long, I've been able to, acquire so many different skills and techniques that it's if I can visualize myself doing it, I can essentially do it. So, I'm left-handed. So I think that really helps that sort of perspective because we live in a right-handed world. So everything I have to do, I essentially have to kind of mimic. So it's just if I could see myself doing or see you do it, then I feel I could pretty much accomplish it. Yeah.
That's interesting. I've never really thought about it that way. Southpaw mentality, huh?
Yeah. It's we make up 10% of the world population, but I think out of the last 5 presidents we've had, I think 4 of them have been left-handed.
Oh, no shit.
So it's just
that's a cool fact.
This idea. Yeah, it's pretty wild. A lot of the pivotal, Bill Gates, Alan Turing, freaking Napoleon, a lot of these pivotal people that have changed the aspect of the world have been left-handed, and that really has been because they can see kind of both sides of the spectrum of okay, that's how a right person has to do it. How will I have to adapt and do it my way? You know what I mean? So
yeah, I really think that's half the battle in life's adventure is just visualizing something that you want to do and then getting off your
Totally.
ass and going to do it, right? Like so
100,
many people
100%.
come up with excuses or why they're in their lives they can't do it or this and that, you know what I mean? I think it's just kind of getting out of your own way and then visualizing what you want to do and trying to accomplish it, man. So
and then just going for it. I think there's like a 40%, like as soon as you get like 40% pushback in whatever you're doing, like 90% of people will just quit.
right.
So it's like if you want to be that 10% and be like special and do something different, you have to push past that 40% to take it to that next level. And then once you get past that, it's like then you can actually actualize what you were anticipating doing.
It's crazy because even your best friends, you know, it is who you surround yourself with. But even those people,
for sure,
you come up with an idea or something. When I was like, hey, I'm going to start a podcast, there was a small, minute hand of people that were like, you should absolutely go do that. But they're like, what about this? What about putting yourself out there? What about your past? You know, like there's all these like people that are just, they want to tell you that you can't do something before they can actually tell you like, go for it, you know?
For sure. I think it's more of a projection of what people, because they sit on the couch thinking of all these great ideas, but they got to that 40% and were like, oh, can't do it.
Right.
But then you were like, you just had that foresight, you had the vision, and you pushed past that 40%. And then here you are in like, episode 77?
Yeah, you're 77.
So that's next level. And that's what it takes to like put yourself, like all these Naked and Afraids I've done 177 Naked and Afraids, which is kind of crazy.
That's crazy,
or
man.
177 days worth of Naked and Afraid.
Okay.
And it's just a lot of visualization. Like when you're out there, it's all improv. That's why I keep coming back, because it strips you down of everything that you have in your life, like cell phone. I could call up pizza, Domino's, and get food like right now. So it's like you get out there and you literally have to feed yourself and figure out ways to constantly stay engaged and not check out, and figure out how to get from day 1 to 21, 60, 40, whatever the duration may be. It's just like kind of visualizing. I think it's putting yourself, I always say to my partners, you always have to make your situation better than it was yesterday. And I think that it just transfers into so many other things in life. Like, how are you going to, it doesn't have to be huge. It could just be like setting up a water catch, or you just sending out that email to the person that you want to connect with, and then just like putting that energy out there. How are you going to make your situation better than it was yesterday to get to that visualization that you had? You know what I mean?
And some of that is being dropped in a zone. Like I've traveled the world, and I've traveled to some third world countries, and I've been in some sticky situations in there where I feel like you kind of live in your comfort zone, no matter whether you're living in the bush or the city. Like if you took somebody that only lived in the bush and survived off of what they hunted and grew and everything and threw them in New York City, it'd be the same sort of thing, right? They'd be like, well, I'm going to get hit by a car or whatever, right? But it's kind of your surroundings and getting outside of your own bubble to kind of realize like, hey, some of my problems might be firsthand problems and not,
for sure,
because your Starbucks coffee isn't made just the right way. It's not the end of the world, right?
I need some almond frapped foam on top of my
exactly.
They fucked this latte.
Up,
Yeah, exactly. It's like you just we create problems because we're in a position where we no longer have those existential threats to us. So we have to like create problems that we can solve or just have something to worry about. But then like when you're on a challenge, you're stripped of everything,
right.
And you realize like all the things that really matter to you, and also all the frivolous things that are just like amazing to have, like a hot shower, just going over here and not having to boil water,
or a pair of shoes,
chug
right?
some water, or a pair of shoes,
underwear.
Hey, I truthfully, growing up as a kid, I was like always barefoot and naked. So
right.
It was like, I was like manifesting this shit from a long time ago.
That's awesome.
So like, I always say like 10-year-old me is having a blast when I'm out on a challenge. But like 30-year-old me is like, yo, you need to get to the office and sit down at a desk. Like, bro, chill.
And it's funny too. You just mentioned, creating your own problems, and that's so true. I create so many of my own problems and put my own stress on myself. Like I got to do this, and this. And I've been really good later in life, you know, once I've gotten a little bit older, like really
Yeah.
taking a step back and looking at my time and be like, do I really need to do this? Is this really going to make me, does this make me better at what I'm trying to achieve? Or is this just something that's in the way, you know?
And you don't need to take it to the extreme to be on like a naked and afraid survival challenge. It's just like getting outside and simplifying things so you can get to a point where you're like, it's so simple that you can actually think about everything that you're doing. You know, like I think I've just had some profound thoughts while I'm just trekking or even walking through the park. I'm just like, just getting a little movement in my life and just like, you know, just kind of forgetting about everything, putting it on the headphones and just like going for a run, just thinking, you know. So it's just a good way to just work through things and figure out how, where and how you're going to do it.
Yeah. My best ideas, I think, or my best, like the easiest way for me to work out life is literally to get in nature, whether I'm out on a hike, just like you said. And I've even taken it to the point where I stop listening to music and stuff, like, and just try to connect a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like, but especially the one time a year that I cherish is I'm a backcountry bow hunter, and I like to hunt elk and just, and it's not so much even the hunt or the, you know, the kill or anything like that. I'm obviously doing that for the meat. I'm not a trophy hunter, but for me, it's just that time of disconnect where it's a 2-week period that if I can take that much time, or even if it's 7 days, you know, just like, okay, I'm going to take 7 days where I'm going. There's no cell phone reception. I'm going to be hiking my ass off 15 miles a day or whatever, looking for animals, you know, trying to be quiet. So you don't have a whole lot of time to like you're in your own head. You know what I mean? And
for sure.
That can be scary sometimes too, but
I think you got to hit those. You got to get in your own head. You got to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and you got to be comfortable by yourself.
Sure.
You know, so like in order to be the person you want to be, you got to be okay with who you are, especially, you know, when it comes into social situations or just any situation. If you're not comfortable by yourself, you're not going to have, I don't know, you're not going to have a fulfilling life, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%.
Like back in the day when I like got into hiking after like high school and college, all my friends were like, "You're going backpacking by yourself? You hiked the PCT?" I hiked the whole Washington section of the PCT. There's like 550 miles in like 30 days, and I went by myself because I was like, you know, I just want to get out there.
Yep.
I want to have this experience, and I don't want to like not to take away from it because I love being with people, but I also love spending time alone. And I felt like this journey was one of those experiences where you just need to go alone, and you're on the trail, and you meet up with people the entire time. So like you do the journey by yourself, but you're meeting people the entire time, and it allows you to really like just really go inwards as well as like be as outgoing and be the person that you want to be on the trail and meet whoever you want. It's pretty amazing.
No, it's totally amazing. Like, I've had a couple trips like that where I've gone by myself, and I feel like if I was in a group, I wouldn't have been forced to meet some other people or do things we might have got held up. I might ask my counterpart's opinion, you know, like, hey, what do you want to do next?
Exactly.
Right? To be courteous.
Exactly. And then they're like, well, then I think we should take a 0 day and then not hike at all.
Right.
And you're like, okay.
All right.
Yeah. It pushes you out of your comfort zone because you use your friends and the people around you as a crutch to not have to go out into a social situation.
Sure.
So like going on that trail and then like starting to meet people that were hiking the same distances as me and just getting to know them, like know their trail names. I think that was pretty much what like spurred like my survival career. So that was in like 2015. I went and hiked that trail and I was like, whatever I'm going to do in life, it has to do with being outside and then sharing that experience with other people and how to operate, especially for being a person of color. Like I didn't see a single black person on trail the entire time.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do I change that narrative, or how do I be a motivation and an inspiration to someone that, you know, might be on the fence, might be scared, but then if they see me, they're like, well, if he's doing it, well, like what's stopping me?
Sure.
I think most of the people, the best people I've ever met are the people I've met in the outdoor industry.
I couldn't agree more.
The most authentic, true to themselves people on the planet are like in the outdoor industry, be it photography, mountaineering, hiking, climbing, biking, you name it. Just like trying to push themselves and just like trying to figure out how to get themselves to the next level. And like just, I worked at REI for a bit, and like being in a room with people, so many like-minded people, like elevates everything that you do. It's
It's
pretty amazing.
it's definitely a culture, right? Like it's almost like a
Yeah,
community, right? Like
exactly.
if you found somebody that was down on the trail, you would help them out. You know what I mean? Like if you
Exactly.
found
Yeah.
somebody in a bad situation, you're going to do whatever you can to. It's just part of that community because in turn you would want somebody to do that for you, right?
Huge. Yeah.
And as far as Black Americans or African Americans, whatever you want to call that,
Yeah.
being in the outdoors, why do you think it's just a cultural thing as far as like where they grew up, like why we don't have more people connected with nature? And is that something that you're trying to help make that connection, right? Because it's so valuable to
For
me,
sure.
to you, to anybody
Yeah.
that I've
For
talked to,
sure.
you know?
For sure. I think systemically it's been an issue as of all the gear
Sure.
is very inaccessible. And then people of color have been historically marginalized. So it's like to go out backpacking, you're taking yourself out of a whole day of work, as well as maybe whoever's in your family going snowboarding. And I mean, there were a handful of national parks that literally you couldn't be a person of color and be in the national park. And that was in like the early 60s.
Yeah.
So it's like literally there's been hundreds of years where the only time you're spending time outside is if you're getting yourself food or if you are procuring food for other people or you're farming or whatnot. So it's like it's just historically we've been marginalized in the outdoor spaces. I think as of late we're starting to get this hyper visualization of people of color in the outdoors, but like within from the 80s to like now, people of color have been like getting after it in the outdoors.
Sure.
They just haven't been on the cover of magazines. They just haven't been seen.
I
Like
know that
I've
we
been
have
snowboarding
quite a few here in Colorado. I mean, rock climbers, all
totally
kinds of different
for
people,
sure.
they might
Like
not be that
crushers,
Instagram celebrity or whatever, but
exactly.
there are
Yeah,
people. So, yeah.
crushers. Yeah. So it's like we just haven't seen ourselves in the outdoors for a long time,
Yeah.
and I think that's what it is. Like if you can't see yourself doing it, like this visualization thing, it just like if you haven't personally been in the outdoors and you can't see like someone of color on a cover or in the mag, then you're like you can't actually visualize yourself doing it. So it's like well now that we're seeing this hyper visualization, I think we'll see a lot more people of color in the outdoors. I mean, as of late, I've seen more than I ever have in my entire life, and it's amazing. And I try to share as much knowledge as I can, like on trail. Like I remember I was at Mount Rainier. We are gonna go climb up the Jib Ledges, which is like this direct route after Camp Muir. And I saw this family of black people, and they're just like kind of figuring out where they want to go. There was a trail that was closed, so they were at this zone. And I was like, Carter Falls is really dope. I just like gave them a whole list of things that they could do that are like kind of not entry level, but like accessible to
Sure.
them.
And
And then
still be
like and there's
blown
not
away, right? Yeah.
exactly, and there's not as many people too, so there's not like people staring at you. Like because like being a black man in snowboarding, like sitting in a freaking chairlift line is crazy.
Really?
Like everyone just kind of yeah, because you're like the only black person there.
Right.
So you're like literally in a group of like 60 people, and everyone's just like, "Who's this black guy?" You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's like this very white space, and I've just been like there the whole time. So it's kind of yeah. And then when you see another black person in the chairlift line, you always like
What's up?
you tip their hat to them,
Yeah.
like "What up?" You're like
Yeah.
it's good, yeah.
Well,
So
it's crazy because
but it
like nature doesn't recognize race, right? So I think that that's one of the
no
biggest things, and it's so beneficial what you get out of it, the happiness that it brings me. So
for
I just hope
sure,
that everybody can enjoy that. And I think it's scary whether you're, no matter what the color of your skin is, your background,
yeah,
whatever, right? It can be
yeah,
scary, especially if you grew up in an inner city. If you're a kid from South Boston, that's 100% Irish, and you've never been
yeah.
in the middle of the woods, I guarantee you're going to have some second guessing going on
Oh,
in your
for
mind,
sure, for sure.
But yeah, I
Yeah, the
think
first,
I think just
yeah,
culturally, like us as a
just
community and people with experience should, take people under your wing no matter what, a little bit,
for
and
sure.
guide them along the way like you just did with the family on that trail. And I think
Yeah,
that what you're doing and having a platform and sharing your journey and what you've done and getting published and all that sort of stuff, I think is so rad. And I think that you have to experience all these things before you can be a good mentor in it, right? So
For
don't
sure.
try to mentor somebody in something you've never done, right? Like
Yeah,
there's a ton
exactly.
of those people
Yeah,
out there.
for sure.
But what do you think is
Armchair quarterbacks out
yeah.
here.
What do you think are good qualities for somebody else that's maybe trying to chase your path or wants to do their own thing and what you've experienced? What is being a good inspiration or a good mentor to those people that maybe want to be on Naked and Afraid or want to be more on that professional level of snowboarding or get published as a snowboarder?
Yeah, I think it's you got to genuinely love it, you know, like because at the end of the day, you're not doing it to get like filthy rich.
Yeah,
You're doing it because you genuinely love it, and it's like there's gonna be times where you're gonna question yourself, and you're like, "What am I doing? I could literally be working at Amazon. It's like right there, but it's like you don't love that path. That's not your path. So just keep pushing, keep moving forward, and like if I would have told myself when I was 18, I was like just stick to the script and keep doing what you love. Like just keep pushing. And I think that's really all it is. Is just like push past that 40% and you'll get there.
and it's okay to fall out of love with something, right? Like it happens all the
Oh, for
time.
sure.
Yeah, and don't
Totally.
waste your
Yeah.
time. Don't get pigeonholed, as much as you can.
Yeah,
But
totally.
but yeah, no,
Yeah,
I think that you're gonna hit bumps in the road no matter what you're doing, right?
for
Even
sure.
yeah. So
So like snowboarding, I kind of fell out of love with it. I mean, I still it's like my number one passion, but like this journey on Naked and Afraid to some other gigs have still solidified just my passion for the outdoors because I think snowboarding is more of a vessel for myself to express myself in the outdoors, and it's not really about the discipline itself. It's about being able to spend more time outdoors, regardless of if it's snowy, if it's raining. It's just another opportunity to spend more time to commune with nature. And I think that's just what it is. So like on these Naked and Afraids, like I'm getting paid to go commune with nature. So I'm like, this is as good as it gets,
yeah,
you know, even though it's it's probably not for most people, but it's pretty special. It's like one of those moments where you feel subhuman, but there's moments where like you feel beyond superhuman. So like there's this crazy paradigm of like there's times where your dick is in the dirt, and then there's time when you have a freaking gator on your shoulders, or you killed an impala, or you're looking at elephants.
right.
Like there's this yeah, it's a crazy contrast.
That's so awesome. Yeah, I've seen a couple of your episodes. It's pretty crazy. Your background leading up to this, you said you grew up in Seattle. Were your parents
Yeah,
into the outdoors or anything like that? Or what was kind of that catalyst to move you in to starting to explore these spaces and stuff?
I would say it's 100% my mom. We'd go camping since we moved back to like Western Washington. We go camping in Olympics, Cascades, Mount St. Helens, North Cascades. So it's like she definitely facilitated and she just created that space for me to really enjoy the outdoors. And my dad, he's from West Africa, the Ivory Coast, so he's all about that grind culture. He made it to the U.S. and he's just like, that's like the dream for an African is to make it to the U.S., make money, and then send it back to Africa.
Sure.
So he thought from the beginning, like I told him about Naked and Afraid, he's like, "You're tripping, bro." Like
You're
you know
going
what I mean? Like
backwards.
you're going
Yeah.
backwards. Like we made it out the mud, not to go back to the mud.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Isn't that
So
funny?
he's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, like that's crazy. Yeah,
But they
but it's like, yeah, for sure.
having a supported mentor or something like that, or somebody to show you the way, is kind of where it's at. What are some other
For sure.
mentors outside of your family that have inspired you to do what you're doing now?
I mean, there's just a handful of people that I've read up about. I mean, there's Jason Hummel, there's Scott who connected us.
Yeah.
Just like,
Shout
yeah, I
out to
mean,
Scott
there's
Kranz.
for
Awesome
sure
human. So
Scott Kranz, you're the man. Yeah, humble monster. He's a great dude. Um, so I mean, I think it would just come down to athletics, coaches, friends, and people that have affiliated myself in the outdoor spaces through either soccer, football, baseball, all those people. Like I played all those sports growing up, and that consumed a lot of my time till I left high school, and then snowboarding was that space for me. But it's just a lot of people in those spaces have helped me cultivate where I'm at now.
that's awesome. And when did you start the actual mountaineering where you're getting into like some rope access stuff, some rock climbing, some, ice climb, a little bit of ice mixed in there, and just that
Yeah,
cascade? To be a cascade photographer, you have to be a pretty
yeah,
badass dude in mountaineering or have some sort of skill set, right? To get to
yeah. You got
what
to get it
to get to
for
those
sure.
spots. And I've seen
Yeah,
some of your shots, so I know where you
yeah.
go,
Thank you. Yeah.
which is epic. But what kind of spurred you into that? And then did you have a mentor in that kind of led you along the way, or was that self taught? Or
I I think a lot of it was self taught, and a lot of it was like being a novice and having friends that were novices, and then just like doing a bunch of research, putting myself, just throwing myself into the fire and kind of learning by just being out there. And it was a slow evolution. I started trekking, and then after trek, I mean, it was all day hikes for a long time. Then I started overnighters, and then I did that 30-day on the PCT doing Washington section, and then it's just like constantly evolving. How are you going to make yourself more rounded? How are you going to experience more? And by doing that, I was like, well, I want to go climb all the volcanoes in Washington, and I'm good at snowboarding, and it's usually the safest to do it in spring. So I'll just snowboard all the volcanoes in Washington. So it happened to line up perfectly where we got perfect weather throughout this entire campaign. It took us like 2 months, and we got to go and summit and ski off all the summit volcanoes in Washington, which there's 5 of them.
that's rad.
And then just slowly but surely, like meeting more people in that space. I've really met my friend over here at REI, one of my climbing partners. He's been like my main like rock climbing. He's also he was a mountain guide at RMI up on Mount Rainier. So like just soaking up all the knowledge that he um, has been a huge help. It's crazy because he's younger than me, but he carries himself like he's like a grown man because he spent so much time in these spaces where it's like you have to make the right decision or you're dead.
Yeah, there's a
And you have
level
to
of
do it. You
confidence
have to
that
do it
comes
right.
along with it too, I think, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So you have to do it right. You can't be tying sloppy figure 8 knots to tie yourself in. You got to double check all your work, and you have to double check your partner's work because you're only as strong as your partner.
Yeah.
So if your belay partner doesn't know what they're doing, you take a fall, it's done.
Yeah.
So
If somebody's diving
yeah,
into that backcountry, we brought it up here on the podcast, but numerous times, and I have some experience, but I'm no expert, right, by any means.
yeah.
But
I don't think any of us are.
no, I don't think so. But what are some of the core things that you can have safety wise if you're going to start exploring these spaces? I mean, I carry a GPS, but also I have knowledge of how to
Yeah,
use a compass and a map in case that GPS fails.
for
A
sure.
little
All
bit
of
of
those things.
avalanche awareness, especially if you're up in the winter time and stuff like that. But
Yep.
do you do some safety checklists, or are there things that are always in your bag that go with you that are just kind of like you don't even think about?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what the trip is. If it's a backcountry skiing trip, beacon probe shovel, knowing
Exactly.
how to use it. So using your like, I have an Avi 1, probably should have an Avi 2, but it's like as long as you keep doing the research, you know about what the snowpack is that you're gonna go ride on, and if you're riding in a new location, find a local that is doing what you want to do or your objective is, and try to figure out what the snowpack's doing there. Dig a pit. Like there's just so many steps that you could take in order to be as safe as possible. And then just reading the terrain properly in the backcountry. Like don't go up an avalanche chute when you can ride up on a shoulder, even if it's a little bit more work. Stay out of the avalanche chute. Um,
Kind of those
and then in the
common
back,
rules too of just knowing before you go. And you can have
for
all the
sure.
safety gear in the world, but knowing how to use it is a whole nother thing, right? So
Exactly. I've had buddies that are like got beacon pro shovel, and I was like, all right, let's do a beacon check. And they're like, wait, what? And they're like, all right, well,
right.
we're just gonna do some side country today,
Yeah.
and then
Well, and the
so
crazy thing about like Mount Rainier, and I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can snowboard on that thing like year round. There's snow there year
yep,
round. It's basically a glacier, right?
yeah, it's the most glaciated peak in the lower 48.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So
Okay.
yeah, and I think it's the only one of the only land masses in the world that 5 major rivers run off of, which is pretty amazing too.
Yeah.
But
Epic.
it recedes more and more every year. But you could ride pretty much, yeah, 12 years. I mean, 12 months a year, which is turns all year. A lot of people do the turns all year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, you just cruise up the mirror, you get your like freaking Sun Cup crust in August, but you get your turns.
Yeah.
I did that for like 4 years, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I can have my whole life be like dependent on me getting turns. Like there's just so much more stuff to enjoy in
Right.
life than like having to go get some subpar
To
turns
each his own, right? It's
in
kind of like
October.
becoming
Yeah,
a surf bum a little bit, right? Like, yeah,
exactly. And I think that was the time where I was like, I didn't fall out of love with snowboarding, but I was like, it's not the only thing I am passionate about.
sure.
And it's not the only thing that's going to make me who I really want to be at the end of the day. I want it to always be something there that I can always use and always, commune with nature with, but it's not going to, like, if you see a lot of the people in the snowboard industry, that's who they are. They're just snowboarders.
And there's not a
They're
knock on
not
that. We love that too, but
oh
to
yeah,
each his
no,
own.
for
Yeah,
sure.
for me, I got to have a little
Yeah,
bit more. I have a bit
exactly.
more of a creative side. Not that that's not creative, but I have multiple creative facets, I guess, and challenges for
Exactly.
myself. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's what it comes down to. Like, how can you express yourself in how many different, as many ways as possible?
Yeah, you're definitely doing that, man. So
Yeah,
I
appreciate
love
that.
that. Let's dive into snowboarding, man, because like just seeing some of your
Yeah,
film, some of the publications and stuff that you've been in, dude, you go big, like
thanks,
a
man.
lot bigger than I'd ever want to go. So
Yeah, it's all relative, right?
yeah,
It's all based on. I've been doing it for 20 years now,
sure.
so I know when to go and I know when to slow down. I think it's like choosing your battles better. If you can see right here, I got a little scratch on my
Yeah.
nose. I took a digger snowboarding a couple days ago, and I was like, oh shit, now I got to go do this. You can't really tell,
Right.
but
No, we
anyways,
can't see it too
um,
bad. It's looking good.
but yeah, we had to do a shoot. We were doing a Subaru shoot, and the conditions are just subpar, like really, really bad. But in order to do all the shot list, I had to build this jump, had to hit this jump, and it was just like very lackluster to say the most. And but I knew where to set up the jump. I knew that the sun was going to be radiating on this face, so that's going to be the softest landing that I'll find on the entire mountain. We set up the shot, and it's the most aesthetic shot that I've set up in that area, so it's going to turn out. But yeah, I tried to do a big back five, came around, it was just like slush and crust,
Uh,
freaking caught my edge, and like literally like lawn darted into the snow, and my sunglasses like blasted my bridge of my nose. And but yeah,
when the snow
it's
gets like that too, for people that haven't experienced, it's almost like a sandpaper or little tiny
oh
razor
yeah,
blades or something, man. It's not
for
comfortable.
sure. Yeah, you get like
It's
it's like
like the
rug
snow
burn if
cone
you've ever
after you
gotten rug
suck
burn.
all the juice out of it, it's just the top.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
And just
good.
think of hitting that sandpaper on the side of your face.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that wasn't cool. But yeah, you just gotta know when to go. And it's you gotta pay to play too.
Right.
So that's just how it goes. You gotta be okay with being uncomfortable. And it but you can always just that's the beauty about like an individual sport. It's like tomorrow I can go do double backflips. Today I can just go connect turns with my loved ones, or I can go share that with somebody else and teach somebody else. And I think that's where I'm at with snowboarding now, is that I've been in it for so long that I want to be able to give back to as many people. So I'm working with a company called the Service Board, based out of Seattle, and they're all about getting people of color in the outdoors,
Oh,
and
cool.
specifically in snowboarding, and talking about social justice, equity, and then snowboarding in the outdoors. So I'm a mentor slash snowboard instructor for that program, which starts up, I think, next week,
That's
which I'm
right.
stoked about.
You guys should
Yeah,
come to
so I've been doing
Colorado
that.
and do something.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if they usually do something at Mount Hood, like the top three riders that we have, like the people that are most passionate about it, we'll take them down to Mount Hood, because you could snowboard at Mount Hood till like end of August, I
Yeah,
think.
no, that's
They're
epic.
running chairlifts till the end of August, so we'll go do a camp down there, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I'm at the point where it's like, I've gone pretty far into snowboarding, and I still love doing it, but I want to be able to, give that back to the next generation. And yeah, I think if you live in South Central California, and you've never seen a glacier, you don't really care about glaciers receding. So you got to be able to get as many people outside,
Absolutely.
And experiencing the outdoors so they can advocate for it. Because, if I can't get to that level, maybe they can become in a position where they can become advocates and stewards for our outdoor spaces. So it's getting everybody outside enjoying it so we can all, be the stewards for our
Especially if they're young. Like some of my fondest memories as a child is going on a vacation to like northern Montana and going to Glacier Park
for sure.
like,
Yeah.
into the wilderness there. Because it was, even though I grew up right here in the mountains of Colorado, right where I'm at now,
yeah,
that's just a different level, right? And then the times going to
for
BC
sure.
and that sort of thing, like I'm super fortunate I got to do that. So yeah, I think it's awesome. If you guys ever need any help here promoting that, we'd be glad to give you guys a platform to help do that
Awesome.
too. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, if it ever arises, I'll CC you with the top head person there.
Perfect. Yeah. One of the coolest things I've seen in some of your publications and some of your posts is the street shredding that you're doing. Like you're at public market, dude, like riding rails with your snowboard and building jumps and, got a crowd watching, that sort of thing. Are you still doing any of that, or is that still kind of that guerrilla snowboarding type stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we did get a really big snow this year, but I just came back from a primitive survival race against this gentleman named Ed Stafford. So I came back from that, and I was kind of gassed. I just pushed myself really tough in Kenya for what it was like 12 days of just like racing. So I came back and it started snowing as soon as I came back, and I was like, I could go hit some rails. I had all my boys hitting me up like, let's go hit some rails. It's like, I mean, at this point, I got nothing to prove. I'm chilling.
Right.
If it snows again, I'm down. I'm down to get it. But it's like I just needed to decompress for a little bit because I was like, revving high, and then to like go back and then like try to go rip some rails in the streets is you got to get back to that level.
Sure.
So it's like it comes back to like knowing when to send and knowing when not to. And I was gone for so long that I was like, I'd rather just hang out with my family and my friends. And I'll get to it when I get to it.
You gotta have that time too, right?
You gotta have balance.
For sure.
Yeah.
Do you do any split boarding? I mean, being in the backcountry and all the trekking and that sort of stuff that you do in the mountains, I would imagine the fastest way down is to split board, I found.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's another natural part of the evolution is that, I did a lot of freestyle, a lot of competing, a lot of filming. And I was like, how do I get into the backcountry and do it safely where I'm not as exerting as much energy? And splitboarding is the answer. You can get away from the crowds. You don't need to have a season's pass. All you need is your beacon probe shovel and a partner, or even if it's safe and
you don't even have to go big, man.
You don't even need a partner. Yeah, exactly. It's great exercise. Just another way to commune with nature. And it's so much more zen and peaceful than like a powder day at a resort where everyone has like this froth meter that's like 100% and everyone's just like freaking out trying to get the powder, where it's just like, okay, I know where I'm going. I'm going to get an untouched run. So I can just like kind of soak into the moment and just be out there and really enjoy it.
It's been one of my favorite things for a long time, man. I mean, back before there was even split boards, we would, hike it, snowshoe in and snowboard out, so.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a big snowshoe culture in Japan where I brought my splitboard to Japan, and like
what is
they
this?
were just snowshoeing everything.
Yeah.
It was like, so I literally had a freaking splitboard in my board bag the entire time and just snowshoed the rest of the time there.
That's awesome. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
You actually hold some records in the snowboard community, don't you? Or
yeah. I just became the first African American to snowboard off the summit of Denali, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a testament of my experience or whatnot. I think it's more of a testament to the inaccessibility of expedition type missions, as well as just the lack of people of color in the expedition space. Because the same day that I snowboarded off the summit, I had two of my buddies snowboard off the summit as well. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not like people aren't doing this. It's just the fact that people of color aren't getting
a record's a record to me, bro. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's great.
And I think it's not what one of my mentors says. It's not about being the first. It's making sure that you're not the last.
Right.
And I think that's really special.
It's a great philosophy, man. So being athletic as you are and what all you're doing, are you doing any sort of cross training in between, whether being on Naked and Afraid, or what does that look like for Max?
So for Naked and Afraid, it's usually like freaking tall pitcher of beer, IPA preferably.
Living comfortably until you don't have to, right?
Yeah, no, and you got to put on as much fat as possible.
Oh, right, yeah.
So like when you're out on these challenges, you need to like prep like you're like a bear going into hibernation.
Sure.
Like maybe you might go do some bench press so you don't look too flabby when you take your clothes off. But it's like you got to literally get as fat as possible so you can have reserves while you're out there not really eating much. So that's like the cross training for Naked and Afraid. This last challenge I did against Ed Stafford, that was like a lot of like I was wearing sweaters, jackets, like literally trying to replicate what it was going to be like to be in Kenya in one of the hottest places on planet Earth. So I was like training just with all the gear, and it's just like kind of emulating what you're going to, whatever discipline you're going to go do. If it's snowboarding, if it's going to be a primitive survival race, or if it's going to be Naked and Afraid, it all depends on what you're going to do. And you just try to create a program based on, you know, what your experience is going to be. So like for Denali, I have these staircases out here. You do like 10 sets and you get 1,000 feet of vert.
Oh,
so
nice.
I literally just walk outside my front door and I rip those. Like Scott and I have done it a handful of mornings. Like he comes over here and we just go rip those stairs with the weight vest on.
Yeah.
And a lot of biking, a lot of stairs, a lot of running, a lot of climbing, indoor climbing, and just weightlifting and a lot of stretching. That's pretty much like, I'm sure I could probably do better, get a trainer, someone that can hold me more accountable.
Oh, man, but put some weight on and get on a trail or stairs is the key. Like we have Red Rocks Amphitheater here. There's so many people that cross-train there. So you're in.
Can you go there when it's not?
Yeah, it's a national park. It's fucking epic. Sick. So they shut down, like if a band's playing or something, and you know, they'll shut down at a certain point in the afternoon, like 3:00. They'll close the amphitheater. But that's just the amphitheater. There's a whole trail system in there. There's probably, I would say, 30 miles of trails in there. Maybe not that much. I'd have to fact check that. But yeah, there's a ton of trail systems that you can go in there. Nice. There's hiking. You know, it's a park. It's really awesome spot, man. Have you visited Denver before? Or?
So I've been through Denver. Okay. I've never spent any time there. I was in the Aspen area. We went to Breck. We went to Keystone.
Yeah.
We were just hanging out with some homies there, and then we just kept driving through. We did this nice national park loop, and I guess I failed to hit Red Rocks on part of that national park loop.
I don't know if it's considered. I think it's a national park, but it's not like you don't have to pay to get in. Like I think it makes most of its revenue from the concerts. I mean, it's pretty much year round.
Okay, so it's like BLM land.
I don't know exactly. I'll have to look that up, but I'm pretty sure it's a national like. If you go on certain spots of the rocks, it's a federal offense. So it's national land. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there's certain spots, like I don't think they allow rock climbing on some of it. There are a ton of spots close by to there, you know, but.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. But the next time you're out, dude, I'd love to show you around. So definitely hit us up. Our studio's 20 minutes from Red Rocks. So we're just west of there.
I got some buddies that I climbed Denali with that are from Colorado.
Okay.
I always found it funny that like when you're with boys from Colorado, the first thing they'll tell you is that they're from Colorado.
Right. No, we're pretty proud of it. Yeah.
I know. It's like, so a vegan, a CrossFitter, and a guy from Colorado walk into a bar.
Right.
It's like, I only know that because they told me that within 2 minutes of getting in the bar.
No, it's awesome. We're pretty proud of it, man. It's changing a lot.
It's dope,
but
sure.
Yeah, no, I'm proud. There's
some high level athletes that come from there.
It's insane.
It's insane. Like the group of people. Like I mean, just the crop of people that send
in all sports. I mean, we have like Courtney DeWalter here is an ultra marathon runner. We have all the UFC fighters. I mean, I would say.
Oh, really?
Probably 60% of them live and train right here in Colorado. I mean, it is a hotbed.
No way.
We've had a bunch of them on the podcast. And then you have all the skiers and snowboarders and a lot of the Winter Olympic athletes train here in Colorado. And
you know,
yeah,
you say you're at
special
8,000
forces
feet,
dudes. So
if you're training at 8,000 feet, you're on another level.
It is.
Like I'm here training at like 45 feet above sea level.
Yeah.
So,
but you know, but you can get to 10,000 right there.
Oh yeah, for
no
sure.
problem. So
yeah, totally.
So having that accessibility, but yeah, it does help, especially when I notice it. You know, even when I'm away for an extended period of time and coming back, I even notice it. Like, oh God, I got soft for a couple days. You know?
Yeah, I got soft. I hit that like one set of staircases. Yeah. I'm freaking burnt. Yeah, that's awesome.
So after competing, 5 seasons, was it 5 seasons of Naked and Afraid that you've been on now?
I just finished up my 6th.
Oh,
that hasn't aired yet.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and they actually just hit me up to do another one, and I was like, nope, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. But I don't want to pigeonhole myself. Yeah. I don't want to just be that Naked and Afraid
now,
guy,
do you hold some records in that? I mean, has there been a contestant that's been on?
I'm 5th all time. So there's like there's like 5 of us that have over like 150 days. I got a couple buddies that just got partners that just got to like over 200. So I'm like 5th all time.
Okay.
But I think I'm 3rd all time with that many days without tapping ever. So there's only 3 of us that are on that level.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I mean, obviously there's some challenges on that show, but for you personally, what have been the most challenging thing? It seems like it's almost like working with the other people.
Yeah, usually it's working with the other people.
Isn't that funny?
It depends.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah. It's the interpersonal relationships that usually, muddy up a situation, especially when you're not eating. Like all these people come out there like, I'm a hunter, and then you go out there and you're not hunting like you do back home,
right?
Where you're sitting in the blind eating food and waiting for the animal to cross. So
it's so funny because we've had Donnie Dust on before. I don't know if you're familiar with him from Alone.
Donnie.
He's been on a couple seasons of Alone. He's an awesome guy. He would do very well in Naked and Afraid. I think he does that on his own here in Colorado sometimes. Nice. He's the guy to throw on a loincloth and get out in caves. We've had him on a couple episodes. Super rad dude. Sick. You guys should connect. He's a former Marine, but just the salt of the earth. Most humble guy you'll meet out there. And he makes stone tools. So he makes his own arrowheads and stuff. I actually have some here in studio that he's made for us.
What's his IG handle? I think I might follow him.
I think it's at Donnie Dust. He's got a huge TikTok where he's just constantly making stone tools, which is kind of cool.
Sick. He's getting stoned all the time.
Yeah, exactly. But Donnie's a great guy. But it's funny because I sit there and I think about like all the stuff like I hunt with a compound bow. You got this. I don't buy the most expensive camo, but there's guys out there that are buying, $1,000 backpacks and $500 pair of pants and, $600 pair of boots and like.
Yeah,
you don't really need all of that, and Donnie's making his own bows and knives and all that stuff to survive.
Exactly.
So, no, I think that there's a certain connection there too that's on a whole nother level. So, do you find, and he's even brought this up in the podcast, and I don't think it was him specifically, but it was one of his counterparts or something, having a bit more of a connection with nature when you're barefoot or naked.
Oh yeah,
it's
for sure. Yeah, it's surreal. I think putting your shoes back on after a full challenge is like, this doesn't feel right.
Really?
I think, I mean, humans, we evolved to where we were at like 200,000 years ago. Like literally, we've been inside buildings for like 1,000 years.
Right.
So that's like literally 99% of our lifetime. We've been like either in caves or outside. You know what I mean? So it's like we've been staring at screens for like 100 years. So it's like all this stuff is very new to who we are. And that's why like going outside in nature is like feels so natural and feels so normal. And that's like why we have that connection, not just a connection with Mother Nature, but just like my ability, our abilities to really just become more than what we've been, trained to do in that, society these days. Like I was never a hunter, you know what I mean? So like I've just gathered all this information from all my Naked and Afraid, watching a lot of YouTube.
You had no hunting experience prior to that, huh?
I mean, I've caught a lot of animals. Like I've always more been like I catch the animals and I let them free, but I've never been like, I was never a killer until I got to Naked and Afraid. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to kill some shit in order to live. So
I
you
actually
start
don't
getting
like
into
that part of
killer
it, but
instinct.
the fact of being able to give meat to somebody, there's some sort of connection with that, right? Or being able to feed somebody else, or being able to provide your own food. And even though I'm doing it with some technology, you know what I mean? Like there's still that connection there, and I get emotional when it happens. You know, it's not an easy thing for me, still to this day.
Like,
you know,
you tear up.
Yeah,
you know, and you feel that warm animal and their spirit, and it's special. I think it rings so deep into who we are as humans to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And on Naked and Afraid, when cameras are watching you and you're like stalking through the bush, it's next level.
Oh, I bet.
It's freaking next level. Yeah.
What did you have any super close calls where you had like almost animal encounters or a slip and fall or something where, I mean, it was close?
I play it pretty safe on Naked and Afraid. You know, it's the same thing as snowboarding. It's like, you got to know when to send and know when to,
risk
just chill.
Management,
and
right?
Risk management 101. So, I mean, there's a lot of people on the challenge that as soon as the camera comes out, they just become like monkeys on a string, go running around, like climb up trees, and like, you wouldn't actually do this. Like, what's going down? Like, just chill out. Like, just don't worry about it. You got to act like the camera's not there. And then that's why they keep calling me back, is because you just have to be natural. Do what you would do in a survival situation. Right. Don't run around and make it extra.
Now,
and I think
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're good,
too, when cameras and TV people and executives get involved, is there any scripted stuff, or you guys are out there? I know, I think that there was like one of the producers or something got bit by a snake or something, right? And like, had to get life flighted out or whatever. But
Steve, one of the guys who actually created the show got bit by a fer-de-lance and had to get heli-vac'd out. And they literally like skinned off all the producers have a picture of it, but just think of all your tendons and all your bones.
It's like a super venomous snake, right? And I think they kill like hundreds of thousands of people.
It's one of the most aggressive. It's like the black mamba / rattlesnake of South America. And they're super aggressive, and they will bite without any warning. And usually they'll bite like the third person back, because like first person walks through, second person walks through, and then now they're pissed, and then they'll bite you.
So it's not only you that's in danger; it's the cameraman and all that sort of stuff, right? And they're not putting you guys in the best spots either. Like,
I've had multiple. I mean, when I did the Philippines challenge, I almost stepped on a baby pit viper, like this big, just completely green, just looks like a twig. Right. If I would have stepped on it, my leg would have been amputated or dead. And then later in that challenge, as I'm walking up through this bush, I'm about to put my hand up onto this tree, and another just like beautiful green, like lime green pit viper is just wrapped up, just sitting there. I was about to put my hand on this thing.
That's crazy.
So I literally took it off the tree, pinned its head down, dispatched it, brought it back to our shelter, and we.
Did you guys eat it?
I don't know if you've ever. Yeah. Have you ever processed a snake?
I've had rattlesnake before. I've never processed a snake, but I've had rattlesnake.
It's pretty cool. So all you gotta do is cut the head off, and it really peels down like a sock.
Right.
And you can just like peel it off like a sock. And usually, since they're a reptilian and they're very very prehistoric, that their heart is still beating, that literally you can pull their entrails out, and you can hold their heart in your hand while it's still beating. But it's pretty cool. And you can eat it raw if you get down like that. Mm-hmm. That's not really my vibe. But
pit viper sashimi,
for that specific, yeah, right. It's so good.
The rattlesnake I had was delicious, man. Like, it tasted like chicken nuggets or something, man. I think they had breaded it, and
almost like a fishy chicken,
like a white fish or something almost. Yeah,
exactly. Awesome. Yeah. So that specific pit viper was pregnant, and it had 6 eggs in it. So we ended up like cutting this piece of bamboo, boiling water in the bamboo with the eggs there, and we had hard-boiled pit viper eggs along with this pit viper. Yeah, it was pretty.
I think that's one in a million right there, dude. I don't think many people have eaten pit viper. No, it's crazy. Yeah. Like, you know, us being in Australia or Africa or some of those spots, like we're so fortunate here. You know, there's trees and shit that can kill you in some of those
Yeah, for
spots in
sure.
Africa or I'm sorry, in Australia. And we've had Ben Marr on. He's this professional kayaker, and he's got all kinds of
Yeah.
stories about kayaking in Africa and, you know, almost reaching
Yeah.
out
Oh, like
because
the
the
Zambezi.
Zambezi, like he's a
Yeah,
badass. But
for
on
sure.
a whole nother level with some of those crocs and the stuff that he deals with. But he said like pit vipers are the ones that you almost don't notice that they're there just because of their
No,
camouflage and
they blend so
yeah,
well. Yeah. I mean, here we have obviously rattlesnakes and you got black mambas down. I mean, we had a bunch of black mambas in our Louisiana challenge. I think that was probably the hardest one is 60 days in the Louisiana swamps.
wow, no thanks,
Brutal.
yeah,
Brutal. Like the mosquitoes, I think just the mosquitoes were so bad. And then towards the end, it was like crazy cold snaps. It was getting like it would freeze at night. It
right,
was, yeah. And all the animals disappeared. So, like the last 10 to 15 days, it would freeze like almost every night.
wow, that's
Brutal.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I have no desire to do what you've done on there, but my hat goes off to you, bro. So,
Yeah.
I'm a bit
I'm
softer
probably
than
going to
that.
retire. Hey, like an island though, you would totally
Oh
do
yeah,
like
hell yeah.
some island in Fiji with coconuts and lobster. Like I've had people that have had a challenge like that. I'm
Yeah.
like, what? Like I would do that. I would just live out there. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
that'd
even
be all
need it to be
right.
a
I can
challenge.
handle that for
Yeah,
sure. Even the mountains
yeah,
here, but the swamp or the jungle, I'm not a fan, dude. So yeah.
brutal. Yeah.
Traveling outside of Naked and Afraid, have you gotten out and experienced the world? I mean, I've seen some of your photos. You just mentioned about
Yeah.
going to Japan and snowboarding there, and yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't try to be a tourist. I try to be a traveler.
sure,
You know, there's a difference there. Is like you really try to like, soak in the culture and just be a part of like their day to day. You know, you don't go to like every tourist spot. You go like to the backwoods and hang out with the people that are there because then you really get that experience.
exactly.
But yeah, I've been to almost all the continents. I got four of them, five of them, I think. But yeah, I've been to obviously Canada, Mexico, Philippines a bunch of times. My lady is half Filipino, so we've been there
Oh,
a
nice.
bunch of times, which is really nice. Japan to go snowboarding. My father's from the Ivory Coast, so we spent some time there. Travel around Europe. Yeah, I've just been really, really blessed and privileged to be able to go
Do you
do that
have a
stuff.
favorite spot or like a spot right now if you were to go someplace other than Seattle? Where would it be?
I mean, South Africa is really cool. I mean,
It's awesome.
all apartheid aside, the South Africa is a super cool country.
I fell in love
Um,
with Cape Town, man. Like,
Cape Town is next
yeah,
level. Like it's like a melting pot of like freaking Southern California met like Africa meets like some European country all into one.
yeah.
Just it's
I
special for sure.
Yeah, I was super fortunate. I got to go there with a couple rock bands with my past, and
Oh,
we did
sick.
some festivals. But I actually would stay after we were supposed to leave if we had some days off. And I
Yeah.
actually got out into the culture and went to some of these smaller surf villages and
Hell
surfed there
yeah.
and went on some safari stuff and did a little bit of
Yeah.
hiking around Table Mountain and doing all that sort of
Yep.
stuff. So I almost bought a place there prior to
Dude,
having
I
kids
know.
and
I went
stuff, and I'm kind of regretting not, but that's man, that is God's country. I really think that that's where
for
like
sure.
mankind was created, right there on the tip, man.
For
Yeah,
sure. No, yeah. I mean a little higher, but they would
yeah,
migrate down there with all the migrations. I mean, that's what the Afrikaans, that's their claim to like, oh, we didn't take anybody's land. Like no one was living here.
right,
It's like no one was living there when you guys showed up. It's just like people would usually naturally
right.
migrate down there because it gets cold as hell down there.
Yeah,
It's like super far
the
south.
water's cold
So
too, man.
water's
Yeah,
freezing. But when I was down there, a lot of the older people were jumping in the water and like doing their Wim Hof. It was pretty
yeah,
cool. And that was like before Wim Hof was big time.
yep. So, photography, I know you have some epic photos. You have a website where you can go and check some of this stuff out, or your Instagram if anybody wants to go and and look that up, and
Yeah.
we'll there will be some live links wherever you're listening to this right now to those spots.
Cool.
But
Dope.
was photography something that's always been a passion? Or for me, it was kind of like all the stuff that I do, I can take a camera with me.
Yeah.
And I
Totally.
don't want to miss out. I love capturing a moment in time, right?
Yeah.
And having it there to kind of remind me of, what was going on at that moment.
Yeah, I kind of have, that's the kind of memory I have though, is like, I won't really remember too many moments, but it's like, if I can look at a picture that I took, I can literally illustrate everything behind it, leading up to that or just being in that moment. So I think I was just trying to capture that moment and share that moment is kind of why I started, photography, which was like 10 plus years ago now. But as a little kid, I used to have, the disposables. I always take a bunch of pictures. Like you can look through all my photo books of just like random animal, like bird, bald eagle shots with some disposable camera. And so, yeah, I've always been into it. And I think in the world we live in order to like really be known, you kind of have to be able to share your story some way, So I think being able to leverage that has been really beneficial.
Yeah, hell yeah. I enjoy it too, man. I shoot quite a bit, and I like to shoot some of the wildlife around here, and not really trying to make a career out of that, but I do enjoy it as like a passion and for my own personal stuff. So it's it's definitely nice to freeze a moment in time, I think, and just being able to tell your own story through a photograph, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've been lucky enough to score some gigs doing photography and doing like talent work, especially in the last like couple of years. It's been a blessing for sure.
Awesome. And what are you doing those for? Are you doing it for the outdoor industry, or is it?
Yeah, mainly for the outdoor industry.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm doing a lot of outdoor industry stuff, a lot of talent stuff as of late. I worked for a snowboarding distributor for like the last 5 years till like midway through last year. And then I just kept getting a bunch of Naked and Afraid gigs on top of this First Man Out gig, and then all these talent and photo stuff. Like just literally was just rolling in. I was like, I can't work the 9 to 5 if I want to go pursue this.
Sure.
And so I just dove in.
Yeah. No, it's a good thing to fall back on. I mean, I still take the gig occasionally here or there to go shoot a band or whatever.
Yeah.
And
totally. Yeah.
I still have fun doing it too.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, how can you mold your passions with, your work, and then it never feels like work ever.
Sure. So the main reason why I started this podcast, and one of the main reasons why I wanted to have you on, is I'm trying to help raise some awareness about public land use. It could even be private land, and just treating nature the way it should be intended to be, tread. Like, we need to be good stewards of the land. We need to clean up after ourselves. We need to leave it better than we found it, right? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
And there's a million different principles and things that we can dive into. But one of the things I like to do is, especially our outdoor guests, that spend so much time in the outdoors, and you're a prime candidate for that. What are some common things that you see that people could be doing better to help preserve stuff? Because there's so many more people that are recreating now, and I think a lot of them are new to it. So maybe they don't have the background that you and I did, where your mom was taking you camping and teaching you, like,
totally,
hey, this is how you properly get rid of your trash, or this is how you properly use the restroom in the woods, or whatever, right?
Yeah, I think some of the things that we could work on in the outdoors, I think it'd be single-use stuff. Like single-use water bottles. I don't know how many of those I've cleaned up in the backcountry. I usually always bring a garbage bag with me whenever I go backpacking, just to pick up trash on the way out. But I think it's just like, if you take a piece of trash out there, you can take it out.
100%.
If you can bring a 6-pack with you full, you should definitely bring a 6-pack back empty. It's even lighter on the way back. So like, there's been times where I'm just like, these people just had a party here and just left.
Right.
So it's just like literally cleaning up a party. And obviously just leaving it better than how you found it.
There's nobody to clean up after you out there, like in other spaces, right? And our tax dollars don't pay for that either, even though it's public land. It's literally your land, right? Like you're a part of that, and it's kind of your responsibility, I think, to treat it right.
Yeah, I think just accountability too.
Sure.
I think that could proliferate through all of your life, is like just be accountable for your actions and the people that you're with, and then you'll leave the place better than it was when you showed up.
Yeah, and I think it's okay to say something to somebody too. I mean, obviously you don't want to get in a
Oh, for
full-on
sure.
blowout, but like I think helping educate other people, and I'm hoping that people are listening to this podcast to get some of that out, and
Yeah.
having conversations is helping that, or listening to other podcasts. It doesn't have to be mine, or not being afraid to reach out to somebody like yourself on Instagram or whatever and just say, hey,
For sure.
I got a question about this. I don't have experience. Like let your ego down a little bit and, figure out what you need to do, whether it's if you're getting into fly fishing, backcountry snowboarding, mountaineering, whatever, I think all those things play a key part in it. Even if you're fishing, like there's certain spots where there's a way that you want to get in and out of the water. There's certain etiquettes to, how to handle a fish so you're not putting it in distress and all kinds of different stuff. But so I think that there's a lot to learn out there. And believe me, I don't know any of it, but I try to have experts in and other people's opinions to help mold that a little bit. And hopefully collectively, all together, we can come up with, the best practices and stuff like that to share.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the main goal of this podcast. And, it doesn't just apply to Colorado or the U.S. I mean, this could be applied anywhere, right? It's just it's
no
common
doubt.
practice for mountain ranges and even inner city stuff.
I mean, when you go to developing nations, you see just, the single use.
Right.
Like you go to this pristine beach and you're like, there's freaking plastic bottles everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's like, how can we pivot away from using single uses, or like having these Coca-Cola companies stick the bill for cleaning up this crap? Like, you guys created it.
Right.
Like, please help facilitate a way to recycle or get rid of these products.
No, that's huge, man. I think that, and that's something that nobody's brought up on here, like, having these awesome water bottles and stuff. They might cost $30, but then, whatever.
Yeah, like boom. Yeah. How many coffees do I have out of this thing?
Yeah,
1 million.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think it's sad because I think the top 7 largest companies in the world create like 80% of the greenhouse gases. So like, to put the bill on the individual is just a market ploy to make us feel like we're not doing enough. But it's like, it's these companies that need to be doing all of the work.
Yeah,
like we can speak with our dollars as best as possible, but at the end of the day, it's these companies that are going to create the change, like the huge tangible changes that we need for our outdoor spaces.
It drives me nuts sometimes too, like, and not to knock Starbucks or anything like that, because they are a Seattle-based company. I love Starbucks, but like recently, especially because of the pandemic, they used to let you do the refill thing. But now you go in to get a refill and they're still giving it to you in a paper cup. Or maybe you just want a water or something, and like, can you just fill my water bottle up? And they're still giving it to you in a plastic cup with a lid and all that. It's like, come on, bro. Like, we could be doing better than that. Like, I understand that there's...
Yeah, I think the pandemic has, unleashed a whole nother level of just things being disposable. Like your masks, how many masks you see just laying on the ground?
Everywhere, right?
So it's like, it's okay because we're in the midst of this pandemic. We have so many other things to worry about that our worry meter can't really focus on, the things that are further in the future.
Sure. No, we're in a rough situation. I think it comes right down to every individual wanting to care about it. So as much as we can raise awareness about that, I think as individuals, or just do your part too. If you see something, instead of walking by it, you can pick it up. You know what I mean? Especially if you're on an outdoor trail. I do it all the time, and I do it when I'm in the rivers. It's crazy. I
pick up freaking other people's dog poop
all the time. Like, we do it all the time.
Give me a break.
It drives me insane. Like, to bag dog shit
always
and then put it on the trail. Yeah.
Yeah, come on. Just leave it. Just let it be.
Exactly.
Like, if you're not going to pick it up when you leave, just leave your dog shit on there.
Toilet paper is another one that drives me nuts. Just pulling into a campsite or pulling into a trailhead and seeing where somebody went to the bathroom the entire time that they were there is not, it's not good. Right. So
no, for sure.
But yeah,
I think it's just like trying to, like, I mean, you're doing what you can with the platform that you have by being able to try to educate people as best as possible when they're outside, like the best practices possible, so when you show up, there's not toilet paper everywhere. They bring their shovel to dig their poop, 8 inches in the ground, fill it back up. And
that way you're not going to step in it. Your dog's not going to go roll in it, right?
Yeah, put an X over it, and then there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it also helps having people like you come on, so I appreciate that. And that's a big part of this too. I'm not doing it by myself by any means. So
yeah, dude, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we jump off here, we're burning through the time, man. It's been awesome. We've been on for an hour and 15. Oh yeah, we've been cruising. It doesn't even feel like it, right? It's crazy.
No, it's been chilling. Yeah, dude.
No, we're pretty laid back here, and conversations could go forever. I know. But you got some stuff that you got to get to. I do too. But before you jump off, what do you got coming up next? You're a busy guy. You mentioned working on a TV show, working on another Naked and Afraid just got done, right? Or something?
Yep. I probably disclosed a little too much about that Naked and Afraid, so I don't know when this is going to air.
Sure.
But
do we need to edit anything out of this, or we have that ability?
Maybe we might have to.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, so I just got done doing another Naked and Afraid. I had an opportunity to compete against this gentleman named Ed Stafford, who's a lot like Bear Grylls, and we raced in Kenya. That was pretty special. And then have a couple, some brand stuff that I'm working with some brands to become like a paid athlete / ambassador, which I'm so blessed and honored to be a part of that.
You deserve it.
And that, thank you. I really appreciate that. I feel like I've been grinding for a long time, so it's like things coming to fruition is pretty special.
Yeah.
And then potentially having another opportunity to do this like crazy obstacle race for like three months or like 2 months somewhere around Alaska with one of my Naked and Afraid partners.
Nice.
With like $1 million on the line. So we'll see how that all plays out. That's like life-changing money. So hopefully we can make that work. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just steady grinding, staying the course, and trying to motivate and inspire and give back as much as possible.
Hell yeah, that's awesome, dude. Let us know as that stuff starts to come out, and we'll gladly share it. Tag us too on any post, and we'll share that as well.
Cool.
Dude, I really appreciate your time and taking the time to do this.
No doubt.
And this was a lot of fun, man. We should definitely do this again.
For sure.
Anytime you want to come on, Seattle's on our list sometimes we go to cities to record remote.
Oh, no way.
Seattle is definitely on our list. We got a ton of people up there. Some of our sponsors are up and in that area and stuff.
Could we do a tag team with Scott and I?
Dude, that'd be awesome. We'll set it up.
Yeah, cool,
that'd be great. Yeah, I loved having Scott on.
Nice.
And it's been an absolute pleasure having you on as well. So we want to have you on again if it's something that you're into.
I'd love that for sure.
Hell yeah. One more quick thing before we jump off. Let's drop your website, Instagrams, Twitters, all that stuff.
For sure. Yeah, so I'm at Nomadic Max, Nomadic with a K, and then Max on IG, and then just Max Djenohan. It's hard to spell. It's DJENOHAN. And if you just put that in any platform, I think I'm the only person with that last name on the planet Earth. So find me. And thanks for having me out, Bobby. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Cool.
Thanks for listening to the Mountainside Podcast. If you haven't had a chance to do this already, please take a moment, follow, like, subscribe, or rate on whatever platform you catch the Mountainside Podcast at. Also, if you'd like some more information on upcoming episodes, safety tips, access to all of our affiliates, and all the badass discounts that we get here at the Mountainside Podcast, check out themountainsidepodcast.com. We wanted to let you know that the Mountainside Podcast is now available on Patreon. If you'd like access to bonus footage, behind-the-scenes content, ad-free listening, and much more, simply find the link in our bio or visit patreon.com/themountainside. We are also brought to you by Uncanna CBD. If you're looking to trust a natural solution, then look no further than Uncanna to help you curb anxiety, get better sleep, helping with long-term pain, joint mobility, muscle recovery, and many other benefits. Then you need to try a full spectrum or broad spectrum CBD. And the only brand that I trust is Uncanna. I use their products daily, and I can attest to you of how well it works. Uncanna is also veteran owned and operated and is just an incredible company that lives in the outdoors. Whether they're sponsoring professional rock climbers, dirt bikers, skiers, and many other athletes, helping veteran communities get outside, this is an incredible company with an incredible product. Because they are a sponsor here at the Mountainside Podcast, and you're listening to this ad right now, you can receive 10% off your entire order every time that you visit uncanna.com. All you have to do is simply enter promo code TMS at checkout to receive 10% off your entire CBD order, apparel, canine products, or whatever Uncanna has to offer just by simply typing in the code TMS at checkout. Once again, that's promo code TMS at uncanna.com. We are also brought to you by Onnit. Onnit is a company that is founded on the principles of fully functional supplements, nutrition, fitness equipment, and instructors to help you reach your goals and focus while you're doing it. Not only are they an amazing sponsor of the Mountainside Podcast, their products have helped me personally focus and have the energy to push through those moments that can be hard for anyone. I use Alpha Brain for cognitive function. Vitamin D sprays are amazing for essential nutrients, especially right now during this pandemic. Total Strength and Performance is another line of one of their supplements that's amazing. I'm also a big fan of the Onnit 6 workout programs, specifically the bodyweight and kettlebell workout. But here's one of the coolest things about Onnit, and I use it all the time. It's completely free. It's Onnit's Academy articles. Whether you're looking for a new perspective on how to work out a certain muscle or a certain part of your body, there's a ton of information in there like that to mix it up. There's also recipes and just total health articles to kind of open your eyes to a lot of different things. I love spending some time in there. And this is just the tip of the iceberg with Onnit and their mission to help humans reach total optimization. You can find all this information and much more at onnit.com. That's ONNIT.com. While you're there, if you decide to purchase anything, just use promo code TMS and you'll receive 10% off your entire order. There's nothing I love more than supporting America, showing my patriotism, and buying 100% American-made products. Origin Maine is one of the only companies that I've found out there that makes an incredible product that's 100% designed, produced, grown, built, and manufactured right here in the USA. So if you're looking for 100% American-made boots, high-quality denim, jiu-jitsu gis, rash guards, hoodies, bags, Jocko Clean Energy Fuel, supplements, and much more, look no further than originmaine.com. If you want to support the U.S. economy, the U.S. workforce, then you can 100% trust Origin and the amazing people that are running this company. And because they are a sponsor of the Mountainside Podcast, you as a listener can truly reap the benefits of buying American-made products at a discount. All you have to do is simply use promo code TMS at checkout, and you will receive 10% off your entire order every time that you visit originmaine.com. Once again, that's promo code TMS, the number 10, TMS10, at originmaine.com.